Hey people, this is my rundown of things that are entertainment news that interest me, and I've got several interesting stories to share with you in this video, starting with an update on The Amazing Spider-Man. Dehaan, who you may be familiar with from the movie Chronicle, has been officially cast as Harry Osborn in the sequel to The Amazing Spider-Man, which is pretty exciting. I thought Chronicle was a pretty solid movie, and I enjoyed his performance in that. Harry Osborn isn't nearly as disturbed as his character in Chronicle, but there are several parallels I think he can make between the two. I'm not sure if we might be seeing Harry go through the full story arc of becoming the next Goblin, but there is a dark side to that character and everything that goes on with his relationship with his father, so I think Dehaan is probably a good casting pick for that role. It has also been confirmed that Sheen will be returning to the sequel as Uncle Ben. I mean, obviously Uncle Ben is dead, so I don't think they're going to be bringing him back from the dead, but there are several ways that they can do this. Most likely it's going to be a flashback, but it could also be a dream sequence like they did in Spider-Man 2, and there is the slight possibility that they might bring in Mysterio secretly, or bring in the Chameleon, so there are several ways that Uncle Ben could be back without Uncle Ben really being back, but hopefully they'll keep it pretty limited, because when a character like that is dead, it makes sense to mostly keep them out of the movie. Bryan Singer has announced that Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen will be returning to X-Men Days of Future Past as Charles Xavier and Eric Lenscher, aka Magneto, which is very exciting. I'm a pretty big fan of the first three movies. I mean, I haven't watched them in a while, but I enjoyed them a lot while they were out. A lot of people rag on the third one, and I haven't seen it since it came out, but I mean, I was pretty satisfied with it when it came out. I think it gets a lot of hate that it doesn't really deserve. But anyway, I think Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen were very solid back then. Like, Patrick Stewart, I think, was awesome as Professor Xavier. Ian McKellen doesn't quite capture the power of Magneto, I think, that he has from the comics, but as an older man, it's kind of hard to do that anyway. So I was satisfied with his performance as well. So very excited to see both of them back for this. Based on comments made by the actors, I don't think either of them has read the script for the movie yet. And I'm not sure how extensive their roles will be, whether they're like full roles and we'll see them throughout the movie for an extended amount of time, or they're cameos. I don't think it's just going to be a cameo. I think it's going to be a little bit more involved than that, but it might be something a little bit smaller than what a lot of us are expecting and hoping to see from them. I think it's still going to be centered on James McAvoy and Michael Fassbender's version of these characters, but it will be exciting to see how the older versions of them come into play, and if there will be any interaction between the younger Xavier and Magneto and the older Xavier and Magneto. These are some of the actors reportedly up for the role of Star-Lord in Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. Joel Edgerton, Jack Huston, Jim Sturgis, Lee Pace, and Eddie Redmayne have apparently all signed test deals for the lead role of Peter Quill. Marvel is also said to be interested in Garrett Hedlund, James Marsden, and Sullivan Stapleton. I really don't know that much about Guardians of the Galaxy, so I can't say who I think would be best for the role, but, you know, it is interesting to see some familiar faces on this list. James Marsden, obviously, Cyclops from X-Men, and Garrett Hedlund from Tron Legacy, so either of those, I think, could be a pretty strong lead, and the other actors on this list, I think, have some good credits to their names, so I'm just excited to see where this movie is going. I'm very curious about this, and I think it could be very surprising and very cool. Actor Brett Dalton has joined the cast of ABC's upcoming Marvel S.H.I.E.L.D. TV series as Agent Grant, and Agent Grant is described as one of S.H.I.E.L.D.'s highly skilled rising stars. He's deadly, precise, and cool under fire, but not so great with the people skills. So, once again, not much to say about this, but it is very exciting to see this series coming together. 20th Century Fox has set the release date to its reboot of the Fantastic Four to March 6, 2015. 2015 is a very full year. We've got Star Wars Episode 7, Justice League is possibly coming out that year, the Adventure sequel is supposed to be coming out that year too, so very big year. And I'm pretty excited to see Fantastic Four coming back. I mean, the first two movies were disappointing, but I think there were certain elements of that were good. I think Chris Evans and Michael Chiklis fit their characters pretty well. So if you make the character interactions more fun and make the plots more interesting and more unique, I think you can make a very interesting Fantastic Four movie. Like, I've spoken in the past about this. I think, even though I'm not a big Fantastic Four fan, I think one of the things that makes them unique is they've got this whole adventure aspect to them. They like go to different dimensions and stuff. So if you play up that, you can make a superhero movie that's very distinct and different from a lot of what we're seeing now. It's not just kind of Doctor Doom coming and causing some sort of threat or something. You got all new worlds to explore, so it can be very visually interesting. A new poster has been revealed for Zack Snyder's Man of Steel, which you can see here, and IGN has posted an interesting article analyzing the poster. I skimmed through it, and I think it's pretty interesting, so if you're a Superman fan, check that out. It's in the description. But just to give my own take on things, I think this poster is pretty cool and potentially says a lot about the plot of the movie. We know this is a Superman origin story, so this is likely the first superhuman that the world is being introduced to within the context of this story. And I've thought for a while that this would be a very interesting area to explore in a Superman movie. I'm a big fan of the graphic novel Superman Birthright, which puts a lot of focus on that. And both Birthright and Superman Secret Origin have the world kind of seeing Superman as the enemy for part of its story. And knowing that Zod is the main villain in this Superman movie, they've got kind of a reason to see him that way, because he has the same abilities as Zod. He comes from the same place, and if Zod is posing a threat to the world and kind of looking to dominate, it's probably makes sense that people are going to associate Superman with that and fear him as well. So with him here and in cuffs, being taken by the military, it looks like Superman is looking to appease them, show them that he is peaceful and he doesn't want to fight anybody, he doesn't want to dominate. And I think that is pretty true of the character. Superman, I know in Lois and Clark at least, at one point Superman was arrested and he sat in jail. I mean, it's not like the jail could hold Superman, but he sat there just because he felt that it was the right thing to do to kind of obey the needs and wants of the people. So I'm very excited to see how this movie turns out. I mean, I've got my own opinions on the story. There are a lot of things that I think should happen, and there are probably going to be a lot of gripes that I have just because I've got such a set idea in my mind of how this movie should play out. But I do think they're going to do a very good job with it, and I'm excited to see it. A new trailer and poster have been revealed for Star Trek Into Darkness, and I'm pretty hyped for this movie. I like the first one a lot, and I'm not someone who considers myself a fan of Star Trek. I mean, I've seen a few episodes of the original series. Well, I've probably seen over 10 episodes of the original series, which isn't that much if you consider all of Star Trek that there is. But the first movie impressed me a lot. I think it was great in the sense that it was very accessible to people who are not fans of the series, but I think it was a movie that was also made for fans in a sense too, so it really struck that balance very well, and it was a very entertaining movie. This one seems to be darker. I mean, the title is Into Darkness, so that makes sense, and more intense, so I'm excited to see how this story goes. There's a lot of mystery surrounding this. Benedict Cumberbatch is the villain, and nobody really knows who his character is. People are speculating that it might be Khan. Some people are speculating that it might be a character named Gary Mitchell, who I believe was only in one episode of Star Trek, the original series that I've seen. But yeah, kind of super-powered guy. So it's interesting. I'm very curious about this movie, and I think it's probably going to be very good because the first one was very good. So excited to see this. A new trailer and poster have been revealed for Tom Cruise's upcoming post-apocalyptic sci-fi movie Oblivion, which I was not aware about at all until like a few days ago, but I think it looks pretty cool. Tom Cruise plays Jack Harper, who is one of the last few drone repairmen stationed on Earth. Part of a massive operation to extract vital resources after decades of war with a terrifying threat known as the Scavs, Jack's mission is nearly complete, but as you go into the trailer, you see that not everything is as it seems, and a lot of information has been kept from Jack, so there's kind of a conflict going on that he isn't aware of, and it's a very intriguing movie. Like, it's the kind of thing that I watch the trailer for, and I can't predict everything that is exactly going on, so I'm curious to see what's going on with this movie, and it looks pretty cool. Plans are being discussed for a sequel to Disney's Wreck-It Ralph, and I have not seen the movie yet, but apparently it has been quite successful, so I'm curious about it. I mean, a video game fan and a Disney fan, so definitely interested in seeing it eventually. And hopefully if they do make a sequel, it's a quality sequel and not just a cash-in. Finally, my last story of this video, Ben Savage and Danielle Fishel have officially signed on to reprise their roles as Cory and Topanga in Girl Meets World, the follow-up to Boy Meets World. So, I'm still not quite sure how this show is going to turn out, but it is kind of exciting to see a part of my childhood returning in some form, so I'm curious about that. But that's really all I've got to say in this video. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, subscribe, and tune in next time.